Welcome back to The Chosen Life. I'm your host, The Chosen Lawyer. Today, I'm so honored to have what I consider one of my best friends, a person I got to meet later in life professionally. And it's funny how we meet professionally and we develop personal relationships. Honestly, one of the finest human beings that I know, Mr. Cole Neal. Cole, welcome to The Chosen Life.
Thanks for having me. This is very exciting.
We're actually, it's kind of funny and ironic because you spend quite a bit of the time behind the scenes on The Chosen Life.
Yes.
Whenever we're doing an in-person video shoot, as in our studio here, it's with you.
Yeah. Usually I'm stuck behind a little room back there, switching, make sure the audio is good, trying to figure this all out.
So we've turned the tables on you because it's funny. In a future episode, we're going to have the tables got turned on me, where in fact you interviewed me for the first time on the show. And people get to see that. But today we're turning tables on you where you're coming out from behind the camera and you get to experience the life in the limelight as the guest on The Chosen Life.
The lights do seem a little more blinding than when I set them up.
It's kind of like that feeling, when you have a car and somebody drives your car and you're sitting in the passenger seat or the back seat and it just feels so odd. Yes. That's how it's going to feel right now for a little while. But
I rode on the back of my motorcycle one time. This is what that feels like. Way scarier than the car. But yeah.
Honestly, so grateful when we got together because it was so, it's funny how the universe kind of works. So I'm starting up a podcast, speaking to friends of mine and figuring out as far as a videographer and studio space and everything else. Yeah. And I'm told by a common friend of ours who's in the real estate business, real estate broker. Yeah. He lets me know, I guess we can say it, Mr. Lahav Resnick of Forest Hill Realty.
Thanks, Lahav.
Big shout out to you. And he told me, this is the guy, you got to speak to Cole. Cole is the man. So Cole and I get on the horn, we start speaking. Yeah. And ironically, I'm going to be starting up a podcast and you're starting up a podcast space. And we came together literally at the exact moment as we're both starting up our ventures.
Yeah.
How ironic that worked out.
Yeah, both of us are like a few months out. You wanted to do your first episode and I wanted to have my space finally completed. I think I just signed a lease for like a small unit and it was just you helped build every step of the way. Every problem we came across, we solved, we figured it out. It's been good. We're still getting better. There's more stuff every day.
Well, if you think about our evolution, right? So the first time we ever shot live was not even in this location. It was in your other location.
I was so nervous.
That was the Terry episode, the Jeff Day honoring episode.
Yeah.
And we had that was the one episode in that one space. So if people are going back and watching our old archives, it was in our first, I think, 7 episodes. And then from there, you brought the new space. We had it at the podcasting high table.
Yeah.
And each step of the way, I kept telling you, we need to have a talk show set. It's very, very important. I kept sending you pictures of the Ellen set, the Oprah set. And I'm telling you, we need a talk show set. And here we are. We're in the talk show set.
Yeah.
This
is beautiful. I like it.
I was so impressed that we have an image in our minds and then you're able to produce it in reality. And that's one of the things I got to tell you, working with you as a professional, is you take the feedback seriously and we talk about something conceptually. The same day or next day, you're on it. You're finding the equipment, whatever it takes, and it happens.
Yeah, it's exciting. The problem solving of all of this is like, I don't think of myself as the most creative person, but I do really think of myself as like a problem solver. And like when you say, oh, hey, there's this, and this, it's like, okay, like how fast can I figure it out? What's the best way? Like, how does it work? How do we make it work? So that's where the real fun is, I think, in being a businessman and taking pride in what you do.
One of the first things I remember, we had our first conversation after our first taping. We had never met before, and this was our first time in person.
Yeah.
And I remember we sat and we talked for like 2 hours and caught up, got to know each other, realized we had a lot of similar interests, watches, tennis.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I told you as I got to know you, I said to you, you're going to be huge. I can just tell this right away. You have that formula. You have that drive. Please, no matter how big you get, don't forget me because I'm going to be a little guy compared to you at the end of the day. So please always remember me as we grow together. And you said you would honor that, and you have. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think both be big. You've taken this so seriously, like even from day one, that like I've always been a content creator for like the last 10 years. Like I've done YouTube. I used to make videos every day. There's people that would come in and kind of half-ass it, and you could tell like it wasn't in it. And you like had like a lawyer level of organization on a passion. It was just like it made sense, and I could tell like you really know what you're doing. and are trying and constantly researching. So I know you're gonna keep growing, and you're gonna keep getting more and more famous people on. You're gonna get more and more stardom or more fame yourself. So hopefully you don't forget me either.
Well, you interesting little fact, just so you know, because we met before the first episode ever launched. Before I even had my first taping, you and I were on the horn talking with each other before it even existed. Like it was in conceptual mode and ready. Like we're doing all the background stuff as far as the logo and the outlay and getting everything ready. That when we're actually gonna have our first episode, we got the whole formula down. And when we talked about it, and then we met, and I told you kind of my ideas of where I was going with it, you're like one of the only people that didn't tell me I was crazy, that it's not going to work. I can tell you that most people that knew me or kind of knew me, when I kind of told them where I was going with it, they thought I was absolutely mad. They said, yeah, okay, like you're a lawyer. Why aren't you talking about lawyering stuff? And you're going to talk about lifestyle stuff? Really? And they kind of gave me that kind of crooked look. You had this glimmer in your eye.
Yeah.
And you having done content yourself because you were a YouTuber streamer.
Yeah.
So you knew kind of the background of it. And when I expressed to you like kind of my game plan, you gave me the thumbs up and I really appreciated that.
Well, it was good too, because even when I had questions, and I was like, usually when someone comes to me and says something, usually they're more asking, you're kind of sharing. And then I might ask you something, and then you'll say something and you have an answer for it. And then I'm like, what did you think of this? And then you give me another answer with another, and I can see you thought like 5 steps ahead. And so even like when you say as simple as this is not going to be all lawyer stuff, but I will plug it in and it will work and it will make sense, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm like, are you sure? And you're like, well, who wants to hear about law all day? And like, you're absolutely right. Like you can have a blog on your site where if people want to learn law all day, we go to law school. But if you want to just entertain people, tell stories, give thoughtful advice, and then they need a lawyer, well, here you are. But it doesn't need to be all about that.
I can tell you that having as many in-person appointments as I've had pre-COVID, back in the day when we actually met people in person before we were doing everything virtually, I can tell you that 95 to 99% of my appointments, when I connected with people, it wasn't over real estate, it wasn't over transactions. We always found a point of commonality where they said, oh, wow, I love your sneakers. Are you a Jordan 1 guy? Or we talk about watches, or we talk about tennis, or we talk about cars, or we talk about anything, sports under the sun. And something, either I related to something they said, or they were or did or went traveling, something like that, or vice versa. And then when we had that connection point, we got along. And my thinking was on the podcast side of it, just keep doing what you're doing when you're doing appointments. But share that kind of information with everybody and now connect with people on a greater scale. Plus, motivate people, educate them, and let's have fun, Let's not take ourselves so seriously. And so there's very little topics, if any, that are off limits. I'll go there on any level. As long as people understand, who they are, what they're coming aboard, they're cool with it. But I feel like also, I want the people to feel like they're sitting with us at the table. Like you and I are talking right now. We've connected many, many times, but they could be easily sitting with us right now and they're asking questions, you're answering them. That's how we all feel connected. And if I can't feel connected with somebody, generally, I won't want to bring them on the show because I don't want to waste people's time and it won't feel genuine. But it's a lot easier to do this when you actually know the person, you already know you have a connection point, that it's fabulous. When you're meeting for the first time, like sometimes people that are even on stage for a living, and I'm thinking, wow, these people read scripts for a living. They run lines all the time. This is going to be the easiest interview on the planet. And they give me one-word answers. And I'm like, what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. It's not so easy.
I've been in there for a few of those. And I guess it surprises you. Has anybody been like super quiet that like give you the opposite? Like, okay, you bring someone on that seems like a huge personality and then it's just one word. Has there anybody that surprised you with like how talkative or more insightful or more entertaining? Has anybody?
Yeah, it definitely has. More in the respect that I didn't know where they're gonna go with stuff. For example, like I did not realize the scale of the stories. For example, it's not that they're from the personality standpoint. Like I'm shocked. Like, oh, they're telling me more and more and more. But more like all of a sudden we hit on something, and I'm like, wow. Like for example, talking with Steve Carsey on the baseball series, I do the Chosen Journey, and we're talking about his time in Texas, and then I bring up people's names that he played with. He's like, oh, I used to have a locker beside that guy. interesting story about that. And the guy actually used to carry a bag into the locker room every day. And then he talks about the fact that the guy had a python snake in the bag and he didn't even realize it. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Or when I had the Better Call Saul singer, Little Barry,
Yeah.
and we were interviewing, and we had a good interview. Like, he was a really interesting guy telling his story. Real nice dude. Hard to get him from the UK.
Yeah.
And as we're polishing off the interview,
Mhm.
this was a recent one actually. I said to him, you were just touring, I believe, Ireland, Australia. You came back. How was it with the band? He goes, oh, I wasn't touring with the band, actually. I was touring with Liam Gallagher. I'm like, oh, really? Were you now? Oh, we should definitely go there. I'm like, so how was Liam?
Yeah.
How did you get connected with Liam? So that kind of stuff. You don't expect that information.
Yeah.
And then when, let's say there were shorter answers before, now you've hit a point of something really interesting, plus they're excited. That's the perfect formula. Then it can go till the end of time. Yeah. But I mean, you've done this yourself. You were on YouTube before it was a thing, and you know better than anybody else. Like, you tell me, like, how did you find the game in YouTube back in the day, and how come you didn't? What was your decision not to continue streaming?
I think YouTube, the way I saw it, one, like, it was kind of, nobody gave me that glimmer of hope. Like, there was a couple of people. There was one guy, Casey Neistat. He would make videos every day, and he already had a business. Like, he already had something to share. I think the hardest thing for me of, like, well, one, how I got into it is I saw a couple of creators and I really liked the idea of, like, oh, I can make a video. I can have an outlet. I'm a pretty quiet kid. It was cool. Like, whether it's something that happened in social life or in business or a struggle you're going through, and maybe you're arguing with people, if you have this outlet where you have 100% say of what it is and it's full freedom, it was really cool to have that. And then what I had dreamed about was, oh, one day maybe people will pay me to do what I want to do. And it was scary when I first picked up a camera. I was like, okay, if I want to, like, I don't know, as a kid growing up broke, six figures is the number. Like, you got in your head, like, oh, I want to make six figures. I want to make six figures. And I was like, okay, well, how do I make six figures as a photographer or videographer? That's a scary thought when you have a $1,000 point and shoot camera and nobody will give you $20. So I said, okay, like, you got to be the best, like some of the best, like top 1% or whatever it is, I best in the world to make six figures. Surprisingly, in photo and video and marketing, it is a lot easier to make six figures than you would think. Like, you just, maybe as a kid, you don't see how much money is wrapped around marketing and imagery, and everybody needs that stuff. But so I was too scared about that and said, hey, let's try and get paid for the storytelling, for my reach, for my engagement. And I wanted to be an influencer before that word was a thing. And people looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, yeah, I want to get paid to, like, make these videos, doing things and sharing them with other people. And it was a lot of hard work. And this is where I was saying of Casey Neistat. He had a business. He already sold a show to HBO, like a 6-parter. And I think him and his brother made like millions of dollars. Now I feel like I want to get back into it because now at 29, I've got a few businesses. I've got my real estate license, and just photography and videography. And in gear, I know more. I have more to share as opposed to when I was like 20 to 25. I didn't really know much. I just wanted to have that influence, but I had nothing to really garner any attention, any stories to tell, any victories to share or roadmaps to share. So.
Well, we're about to jump into the photo video part of it, but I gotta ask you one more question on the influencing part.
Yeah.
You were sharing with me your big video, the one that hit.
Yeah.
How many hits did it get? And can you describe it a little bit? Because it was a real life scenario video that you streamed, and that's the one that went.
Oh, the fire one.
The fire one, yes,
yeah,
the fire one.
Recently, I did good. I think a property tour video. I did really good. It was like an $8 million like log home. But no, the first video that like really took off was, okay. So just so I'm not a total psychopath. I used to carry a camera every day with me all the time. I had my camera. It had a little tripod underneath it and a shotgun microphone, and it was with me everywhere. Like, no matter what, even if I was drunk at a bar, it was right next to me on my bed. So I wake up one day and I hear, oh, I'm napping. It's like 6, 7 p.m. It's like cold outside. So it's maybe this time of year, maybe a little later. And there's like some screaming and there's some commotion. And I go look out my window. So I'm living on Euclid Avenue in Toronto. And we're in the top 2 floors of a house. I'm on the second floor. mom and grandma are living on the third floor. First one's rented out to someone else, so we're just renting. And I look at the window, and there's a bunch of smoke, and all my neighbors are outside, and people are screaming and freaking out. And I look down, and my camera's already rolling. Like, so this is just a reaction at that point. Like, I know how to use a camera. Like, you know how to use your eyes. Like, if I need to get a shot, I can. It doesn't take me out of the moment. So I'm filming. That happens. I start screaming at my mom. There's a fire. There's a fire. Now, mind you, we have 5 cats. One cat had kittens, and we didn't want to separate them. But anyways, that gets into it. I scream for mom. Mom and grandma start coming down. I'm out, and my grandma is upstairs and is like a cat lady. She doesn't want to come out. She's trying to find her baby, and mom is screaming. I'm nervous. I go run up.
Camera's still rolling the whole time?
Camera is still rolling. I finally cut it out as I'm going up in there because I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what's going to happen. So the last thing you see is like, I think I'm outside. Like we see the fire as we're coming out. It's scary. All the neighbors are there. I think I tried to use fire extinguisher, and somebody said like we're not supposed to. We spoke to the fire trucks, like they're around the corner. So I run up, and then I've never heard my mom yell at me like this. Maybe when I was a kid. When I was like 10, I ran across the street, and I almost got hit by a truck, and that was the last time I heard her yell my name like this. She was just nervous because sometimes people go back into the building and then they never come out. So it gets to me like grandma's really not coming out until she gets this cat. So I come out, and grandma comes out like a few minutes later, and luckily everybody was fine. But yeah, it was all on film.
You're like still going the whole time. The camera's rolling the whole time. There's a fire. Grandma's running, everybody, and you're filming it.
And then after I filmed a little thing like kind of like the end of the video, because like I filmed my every day. So this is just what was in the day. And I think what really like made people lose it is, and this is the first part of the clip, is like my house is on fire. It was already out, but the fire truck's lights are going, so yes. It looks like there's a massive fire behind me. But yeah, so that video got I think a few 100,000 videos, and this is back still when I like wasn't really making money from videos. So
and this is on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
If you look up YouTube, amazing.
Did you call it the Cole Witch Project or?
No. It was just what was it? I think it was arsonist set my house on fire because that was the thing. We thought it was somebody left a cigarette, but some guy left set 7 fires that night, and they found him in an alleyway. And
so it wasn't an actual arsonist. So you did. This was not bait click. Like it was actually.
Yeah. Like we found out he set 7 fires that night, and a few years later, I got a call. I think with some of my footage again, saying that he was convicted of murder. A few years later, this guy.
Amazing. Did you ever go visit him? Does he know you at all?
No, I hope he doesn't see this video.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
No, but it also it goes to show you a few 100,000 people are going through YouTube. Yeah. Like arsonist set up my house on fire. Oh yeah, I gotta get right on this.
It was nuts, and it like got to the front page of Reddit because I posted it on there. Like I was still kind of like cloud chasing and stuff like that, but I was just sharing my life, and that's what happened. And it actually got me a job with Yahoo. They liked my style of video, and I sold the footage to a few news outlets, and I since did some videos for a couple of news things.
So Cole, how early in life did you realize that you were going to be a photo video guy? Like whenever I speak to somebody that's really made in a profession, in where they're at, like I always think to myself, how soon did they know? So were you basically like with a camera by the hip at 4 years old, or was it something in the teenage years? Like what initially brought you to cameras, videos, and to find this lifestyle?
I think I was lost up until like 24, 25. I think like 22 is like when I first started, but looking back, it was kind of like clear as day. My favorite video game was Pokemon Snap, where you take photos of Pokemon on this thing. And
I don't know what that means. I know Pokemon.
So Pokemon
is this looking for Pokemon or?
No, this is you get on this little roller coaster, and it goes very slowly, and you can look at it's almost like a VR game before VR was a thing. You take photos, and you gotta like get photos of all the Pokemon instead of catch them like in the real game. And then also my grandma.
You're making me feel very old, Cole, by the way, now. Because I don't know what Pokemon Snap.
It was a very niche game. Like some people loved it, but everybody knows Pokemon, but not many people know that game. So
I know people looking for Pokemon on their phones and they gotta find Pokemon. That's the thing, but that's not Pokemon Snap.
No.
Okay,
no. So this was just taking photos of the Pokemon. That was capturing it. And so it was funny to look back like, oh, one of my favorite games of all time was a photography game. Because if you asked me at 17 what I was going to be, it was not a photographer, it was not a videographer. I didn't know anything about like photo video. I had a little camera. My mom got me a DSLR when I was a teenager, and I never used it. So it was first video. I think video is still where my real passion is.
So when I was a young boy growing up, I had a poster of Mr. T on my wall.
Yeah,
That's what inspired me to do what I'm doing for a living.
yeah,
So if I met him, I could tell him, "Hey, Mr. T, by the way, you really inspired me to do stuff with my life."
yeah.
Pokemon did the same for you at the end.
I think so. I think
It,
my Mr. T was as a teenager seeing Casey Neistat like good role model, like
yes.
worked relentlessly, like seemed impossible. Apparently got up at 5, filmed his whole day, somehow edited for like 3 hours in between it, and posted that. And you'd see the video go up at 9. Amazing storyteller, very insightful. That was my like, oh shit, like I want to be like that guy.
It's funny that you say that, and you can see the glimmer in your eyes, like how excited you get.
Yeah,
And when you and I first connected on our first in person conversation, what I could see was what I was saying was exciting you and motivating you to all of a sudden do more. But as
yeah,
you were telling me your stories, I'm getting excited, I'm getting motivated.
yeah,
So you and I are enablers to each other,
yeah,
but like in a good way.
yeah,
You know, like there's bad enablers where they're like, oh, should I go buy this or should I go have another drink? They're like, yeah, buddy, go for it.
yeah,
Those are
yeah,
the scary enablers. We actually enable each other for motivation purposes. And that's,
yeah,
I think, why we connect so well as friends.
yeah,
And I got to tell you, man, like, I don't know if I know anybody who works harder than you. Like, you literally work 24 hours a day. You're
yeah,
always doing something or
yeah,
planning something or getting into another industry or finding another industry. Like, you
yeah.
got your hand in a lot of different pots at the same time.
Mhm.
And I commend you because I've worked with a lot of video guys in my life.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of competition in your area, like all of our areas. Like
yeah,
podcasting, there's a lot of competition. Real estate law, there's lots of competition. But that doesn't phase you because, man, you're really good at what you do. Word of mouth spreads really quick.
yeah,
And, before you know it, you're jammed, And I
yeah.
got to tell you, there's a reason why.
Mhm.
Because working in the city with you, photo and video,
Yeah.
you knock it out of the park every time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's no, I feel like I finally made it. Like success to me was I can do what I want when I want, and yeah, I people please and I have all these businesses, but the fact that I get to wake up and do whatever the fuck I want is amazing.
Beep.
Sorry for cursing. Yeah. And my next milestone is like I'm not chasing dollar figures, but once I can finally like jump into these fields a little more fearlessly and like start more businesses, I think that's something I'm excited to. Like I have a few, but they're all still requiring my help. I can't wait to have maybe $1 million on the sidelines and hire a couple of people at will and like dispatch them on crazy ideas I have. Like that's what my next level of success is going to be.
What I find very funny are for the layman out there that is not in our respective industries.
Yeah.
But let's take, for example, photo and video.
Mm.
Somebody will call you for a quote and they're saying, "Hey, I heard of you from so and so,
Mhm.
and really love to work with you." Blah blah blah. And then it's funny how they do the dollars in their mind, and it's a service industry, and they'll say, "Oh, I don't understand. I'm paying this guy $500, paying him $1,000, paying him $5,000.
Mhm.
That's 5,000 going straight in his pocket."
Mhm.
And you and I working together, and we've evolved. We've known each other now for I think close to a year,
Yeah.
and every single day it feels like there's either a new employee, the staff is growing, the space is growing, there's
Mhm.
more equipment, there's another piece of equipment. And this is not just like a simple piece of equipment. Like this is sophisticated stuff
Mhm.
from the video, photo end, and you're constantly reinvesting it in the business, growing
Yeah.
the business. And I don't think always that people appreciate, it's one thing when you're selling hard goods. Like I'm selling Tide.
Yeah.
So I'm buying Tide for X amount of dollars from the wholesaler, and now I'm selling it to you. There's a clear margin there.
Yeah.
When you're in the service industry, people don't get the infrastructure that has to get built up
Yeah.
because they have to understand there's space,
Mhm.
there's rent, there's
Yeah.
utilities, there's staff, there's equipment. There's a lot that gets invested. And the bigger you get, the
Mhm.
more infrastructure you have to carry.
Yeah.
So it's not so cut and dry, right?
Yeah, that's the scariest thing. I think when I was smaller, like people still felt that way. Now people that met me when I was smaller still kind of think that way, but you got to understand I've got a full-time executive assistant that needs to get paid, and not that you call them an admin. So an admin has to get paid, an editor has to get paid. And these are people that unless you want to pay a lot of money, I have to give them a full-time wage. So I have to guarantee that, or I pay a freelancer and it's an exorbitant amount of money. So either way that cost gets passed down. So from a $500 little real estate video, it was great when it was just me, but also I made some sacrifices only now that I realize as I'm hiring people that aren't like me, people that want to spend time with their child, people that want to have dinner with family. Like I would work 6 a.m. to midnight, and I'd give up dinners. It was just me. I was like, I want the money. I want the money. I want the money. But now seeing what I was actually giving up, I thought I was super rich. It's like, no, I was just working the equivalent of 3 jobs, or like what 3 average people work, and getting paid bleh for it. Like it was still good, but for one person it was great. But now seeing what you're giving up, like outsourcing that stuff, paying people what they need, like a livable wage, it adds to that final bill. So even if I get a $3,000 video, that goes pretty fast. That doesn't pay for a lens. That doesn't pay for a drone. That doesn't pay for a week of payroll. It goes fast.
Yeah, and I can tell you as a business owner, I go through the same stuff,
Mhm.
especially because we're both in real estate. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of your business is around photographing videos for real estate, and
Mhm.
for mine, it's closing real estate transactions.
Yeah.
And let's say I get paid $1,500 to close a real estate transaction, for example, and then
Yeah.
plus HST disbursements, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And what people kind of forget about, okay, so we have multiple locations. Even though we meet everybody in person,
Yeah.
still got to carry 3 full-time offices.
Yeah.
Then you got your rent, you got your
Mhm.
utilities, etc. 30 plus employees.
Yeah.
That, to me, what motivates me every morning,
Mhm.
I know there's 30 families that have to get fed.
Yeah.
And if there's no business, now 30 families are not getting fed. That's in the background.
Yeah.
But also people have to remember, whenever you're running a business, the person who gets paid last is the business owner.
Yeah.
All the other overhead has to get paid. You know, it's funny because you read those financial books and they say, always make sure you pay yourself first. It doesn't work that way, because especially when you're starting off a business
Yeah.
or you're growing a business,
Mhm.
you have to invest almost every dollar back
Mhm.
if you want to see it growing.
Yeah.
You know, the most successful business owners that I know are the ones that don't see very much in their pockets for many, many years,
Yeah.
but they're building up an infrastructure and then they're building towards something. But somebody who hopes to drain it very quickly will not have much to show for it. And it depends on your industry also. I mean, it's nice when you have word of mouth, certainly, but
Yeah.
there are people that have to go and advertise, you know, and
Yeah.
then advertising is very expensive.
Yeah.
And also, you don't know how much you're going to reach anymore. Like with people watching TV, you
Mhm.
know, are they streaming? You advertise on the radio, magazines, internet, and it just never ends, right? And it seems
Yeah.
like, and you know, every second it seems like somebody's coming and asking for $1. I'll help you grow your business, and I'll do this, and I'll do that, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's just so many opportunities for people to find your services as well, or like the competition. So, how much can you spend on marketing? If you have to charge for that margin, there's other people that just don't do any of that and are on Google, and then they search it, and then they commoditize you and say you're just like them. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I actually care, and I'll be there for you. Like I'm sure if if you're not the cheapest lawyer, well, at least if something goes wrong, knock on wood, you're there, as opposed to that person that maybe charged you nothing doesn't have the support staff to even like come to the rescue in the time that it takes. So that's one thing, like with our company, is we're not cheap, we're not the most expensive, but I still have the resources of where if something happens, it's a particularly hard shoot, there's bad weather and we need to go back or whatever it is, like I will solve that problem. Like there's no problem that I can't solve when it comes to marketing.
I've talked about this in other episodes before, and it's across all industries.
Mm.
This day and age, when you're dealing with suppliers, one of the people that want to get the last penny out and they try to squeeze.
Mm.
I tell them, first of all, do you realize how much of a value there is when you have a supplier
Mhm.
and they show up, they scheduled, they show up,
Mhm.
they do the work, they do good work, they
Yeah.
stand behind it. If there's an issue, they're on top of it, and they come back again. They don't see you as a one-off. There's a lot of value in that in this day and age, because I can tell you, no matter what area you're in, no matter what the supplier is, many people are like, okay, yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday. You know what? I got to go hunting. You know what? Something's come up. Let's reschedule. I'll call you back. And they don't call you back.
Yeah.
Or they call you back later, maybe a week or two later. And, they won't really give you a quote. And then all of a sudden circumstances change. And it's like, it's very, very scary.
Yeah.
So that's where I always tell people, know in whatever industry you're in, when you have somebody you're working with and they give you the service you need,
Yeah.
those people are gold. Hold on to them for dear life.
Yeah.
There's certain people I know, I'm going to put in myself in the industry as a lawyer, but you got a lawyer, accountant, videographer. These are people that are lifeline of your business,
Yeah.
I want those people happy and taken care of. And that's, can I share a little secret with you about you then?
Yeah.
One of the things, as far as I got to know you,
Yeah.
every time I'm thinking of a scenario and I'm like, Cole, I'm thinking about doing this, or Cole, I think I need this. And you're like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. And I'm like, dude, you're a one-stop shop. When it comes to real estate, basically,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's nothing you don't do. I mean, technically, you're in real estate, assisting people that way. You're in property management, building apps, websites, besides photographing and doing the video part of it. So for the clients that actually work with you and get to know your aspect, like you are really a one-stop shop for people.
Yeah, when it comes to real estate and or marketing or real estate marketing, it's all that. Real estate license, own a brokerage, own a marketing company, know how to do 3D stuff, websites. It's been my life for like the last 10 years, and I if there's something I don't know how to do, I really want to learn, because it's just I come way too far to like quit problem solving now.
But like the realtors that do work with you,
Yeah.
they know you don't actively pursue it. Like very
Yeah.
very little you ever bring up the real estate aspect, even though you are in real estate.
Yeah.
But it's also, you come from a real estate family, right?
Yeah. So my mom's a realtor, and I think the reason that all of this goes so well is like I've been trained in real estate. I know how to do it. I really only do it for friends. I don't really like doing the sales. So I've helped mom with that forever. Mom's been licensed as long as I can remember. I remember going to Liberty Village and helping her sell, or helping her at the townhouse in Pirandello, and going to these open houses from a young age. So, she was hammering into me like, okay, toilet seats down, cars out of the driveway, make the bedrooms look big, like just all these rules that it didn't seem like I knew a lot until other realtors or people in the industry complained about something else. I'm like, oh, I learned that when I was 16.
Cole, blows my mind when I've seen properties.
Yeah.
I've seen one set of photographs for it before.
Yeah.
You come in, you haven't repainted it. Still the same furniture in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but with your equipment and the way you stage it and put it together, it looks like a totally different place. It absolutely blows my mind. And it's not like it's taking you 100 hours to do this, but you have that formula down. You see, I visited with you before. I've seen you in action.
Yeah.
And you spot it, your brain just goes into overdrive, and the second you see it, you already see where you want to go with the space.
Yeah.
Is that something that you instinctively were born with, or is it something because of years of practice, or how do you do it? Because I marvel at the quality of your products.
I think the biggest thing was it started out as a necessity. I started out not getting as many jobs as I wanted to. Like one company took a chance on me and gave me some feedback, and I was a terrible photographer. And then I actually took the feedback so poorly. I said kick rocks. Like I just never responded to them. And then another company shortly after gave me, but it was freelance, so I had to do good. I had to take feedback, or else I wasn't going to get a job. I got one $60 shoot a week for like a few weeks, and I really had to show them like, no, like I'll do better. I'll figure that out. And then it was also, I didn't get paid for my time. I just got paid for the project, so I had to do it fast. I had to do it well. I obsessed over it, and then poor financial planning led me to like spending all my money right before winter, and then it died. And then I got 2 more jobs like for other companies, and I made sure that everybody knew like, okay, I'm trying to find my own clients. I got your clients. There's other people I'm working with. I know how to like operate like in good faith. I'm not telling anybody about my company or theirs. And so that got me through winter. And then when summer came, I kept all 3 jobs. And so for a solid 2 years, like 16-hour days, just photo, video, trying my best, learning it fast, learning the systems, problem solving. That was another thing too. I shoot and edit, so that's how you really see like, oh, okay, if I messed up and they complain, that's one thing, but there's also little things that they don't see, but I'm like, oh, this could look better, so next time I shoot. So it's just practice, practice, practice. Your 10,000 hours, that kind of thing.
Well, it's a 2-part question comes to me as you're saying it, because meeting you, getting to know you, being friends with you, hanging out with you. I mean, we played pickleball together. We're gonna play tennis tonight.
Tennis later, yeah.
Yeah, so it's good life.
Yeah.
I can say, if I wasn't working with you and I met you, first glance, easiest going guy on the planet. Everything's carefree. We're all good. That's the person. That's the energy you bring, which is really good. Very, very calming.
Yeah.
But then watching you in action, you're the most OCD guy when it comes to every minute little detail.
Yeah.
And I would say you're as perfectionist as it comes to your work, the quality of your work. And how do you do that? Because I know for myself, I'm very similar.
Yeah.
How do you reach that point where you're saying, I'm happy with it versus I can keep tweaking? At what point do you let it go and saying, I'm happy with it?
That's the hardest part. Like, God rest his soul, my dad, he said, if you're gonna do something, just be the best at it. Like really, that's one piece of advice that I took. And it's even harder in architectural photography. Like there are some people that will pay me a lot of money to like take a photo of their baby, and I like, you wouldn't believe, like you see the work and the attention to detail that comes in like a property shoot. But if there's just one photo to be had of a space, brand new kitchen or something like that, I might spend 2 hours shooting that. I might light each individual piece of furniture and wood from a different light with a different modifier, and then Photoshop it all later. And it might take 5 hours to edit. That's when things get a little crazy. But when it comes to real estate, it's like I need there to be like no realistic complaint, and I'm setting like a guideline in my head of where it's like, okay, what is reasonable? Because I could spend 7 hours on one photo, but they need 60, and they need to turn around in 24 hours. Like, what is realistic? And then I think I just got to be at least a little bit better than everybody else. It's probably not a healthy thing to say, but it's like, if somebody else could do it, I could definitely do it. And I could do it faster. So those have been my benchmarks, and just how I've decided to. But if I see something that I don't know how to do, my brain will go crazy until I figure it out, and then I got to make sure it's repeatable, and then train the staff and just do all that. But I just want to be the best at what I do. So it's good to have healthy competition, or else I wouldn't be as good as I am now.
Well, that being said, now that perfectly segues into the second question I had, because being a perfectionist, then
Yeah.
how do you find the people you work with,
Mm.
train them, and how do you delegate? Because it's such a fine art from a leadership standpoint. Because something I talk about with my partner David Korman over at Kormans LP, and David says to me often, I can do this lease, for example. I could do it better. I could do it quicker, but I have to learn how to let go and delegate and teach others. And I know it's going to take me a heck of a lot more time. But I know at the end of the day, then I'm bringing them up that they're going to be able to take things on to help take my workload down.
Yeah.
But it's a very hard thing. And the longer you go without delegating, the harder it becomes. So how did you find as far as delegation in the professional realm for you?
I think, and what was nice is about being so good at what you do as well is getting over delegating. Like, you have to realize nobody's going to do 100% of what you do as fast. They might do 80 if you're lucky. So you have to be so good that your 100 is just unreasonable. So like my 100% is 7 hours on a photo. So 80% of that is still better than most. So if you're that good and have that much knowledge and you can teach that well, it's you can kind of teach anybody. So when I hyper obsess about all these little things, it's like I've got a detailed like 2-page list of like how not to mess this up. Like there's no way you're gonna mess it up. Like I know for every little detail of like how high things should be shot in the kitchen, how high things should be in the bedroom, how much like symmetrically should the walls be to make everything look even, how not to make the walls look wonky, how to just show everything in the best possible light. And so it's very scientific, and given enough time with someone that is willing to take feedback. So that's the biggest thing. You want to make sure they're friendly, and for what I do, because they're going to be going into people's houses. I've heard of photographers being complete jerks, walking out of appointments. And one of the things I guess people like about me is I'm easygoing. I'm very polite and respectful. If you send me somewhere on your behalf, I'm representing you. And I got a guy that I send people to when they ask for mortgages. And whenever I get the call back, oh, I spoke with him. He's amazing. Oh, you know what you're doing. Like, I like to be that. So you send Cole or someone on Cole's team somewhere, everything is going to be okay. So I just look for, people that can take feedback, and just friendly overall people. And everybody I work with, I seem to find as a friend. I just don't want any negative energy. I'm not super into all that, but yeah, it just needs to be good vibes, and I teach you and you say yes, and then we can go from there.
Well, you and I have a very common denominator in that we work with a lot of realtors,
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're an interesting bunch.
Yeah.
Let's be frank.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting bunch. Like, if you've ever gone to galas,
Yeah.
Christmas dinners
Oh,
for brokerages, realtors are just the most interesting people there are. And it kind of like there's a trickle down effect, because when I talk to other suppliers, and we are suppliers, let's face it, like we're no different than the gardener or the ad agency guy. We're all supplying businesses, so to speak. And from the realtors end of things, when they tend to be tense, it's because somebody's being tense with them. There's a whole trickle down effect. So, and especially, and one thing I sit and educate a lot of realtors, especially the new ones, and I tell them, sometimes you're working with a client and they may have very unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. You need to educate them. You need to stop it immediately, and you need to bring the train back. But if you let the train leave the station on unrealism, then it's going to go out of control. And now everybody's mad at everybody. And that's not going to be cool, because the results won't be there.
Yeah.
And so we learn to work together, and there's some people that can kind of calm it down.
Yeah.
And there are other people that just, fly off the handle every single transaction.
Dude, fly off the
And
rails,
they're
yeah.
just, and then afterwards, like, hey, buddy, it's all good, right? And it's like, yeah, great. They're the best. So, working in the world of real estate and working in the world of realtors, is there ever come to a point that you've seen a property and you said, yeah, I can't do this property. This is just, I cannot help you. Like, it's like it's not on fire, but it's so bad that like I can't make anything out of this. And have there been people that you said, we just simply can't work together? Do you ever encounter those?
Two stories. One,
We won't name names, by the way. We will not name names.
Scariest shoot of my life. Mississauga home, little bungalow. It's for rent. I am subcontracting for another company at this time. This is before I found my own company and all that. And I show up, and this guy answers the door. And like even right now, I was punching the bag. I've got a little bit of like a bruise on my knuckle. This guy had like 3 millimeter deep gashes in all of his knuckles. He was visibly drunk. He was like a little loopy. He did not want to leave. And I realized that I am somewhere on the team of people that are going to get him out of this house at some point. And I see a fireman's axe. And I still walked into that house and I still shot the shit out of that place. And it didn't look great. The agent came like a half an hour later. I'm like, oh, bro, like, where were you? This was very scary. He's been complaining about you and his landlord, and I didn't want him to take it out on me. That was something that I don't think there was anything I could do. I mean, I made that place look big and bright, and it was still a total mess. And they were unrealistically putting that on me. Like, dude, I showed up. You wanted me to shoot this place. It's your tenant. It's whatever.
But you still shot it.
I still shot it. I
still
still
shot
shot it. I
it.
still went into that creepy basement with that man and listened to his stories and tried to calmly just, oh, yes. Tell me more. Okay, cool. Bye. And got out of there safely. And so that was the worst property. And still, like, I'll do my best for it. And people say, like, oh, it's not worth taking the shots of some of these. But no, it's like the photo isn't also just to help sell the place. It's to help sell you and what you're willing to do for any home. So, I mean, that realtor, as much as they were unhappy with those photos, anybody else that saw, like, oh, even on this place, they still paid for professional photos and did a good job and did the best of their abilities. With a tenant there, like, of course, it couldn't be staged. So there was that. And then another story. Worst client I ever had. This guy was a referral from a friend, and he wanted photo, video, and drone of a place. Stuff I all do great. Beautiful home. I think it was the biggest listing he's had. So he was excited, and it was trying to nickel and dime me. It's those people. Like, there's people that will pay you what you want and believe in you and say, okay, no problems. Just do your thing. And then there's everybody else. Oh yeah, cheaper, please. And what about this? Do this. So we put together this great video for him. And we include revisions, right? If you get a video with me, I might miss the mark on exactly what you want. Usually you should just leave it up to me because I know what looks good, and I'm taking things into account that you might not realize. But I will take a revision and do it. And so we did that, and then there's another one and another one. So it's like we're 3 revisions in. I've done like 6 hours of video editing. Meanwhile, people will pay me like $80, $100 an hour to do this, but I'm just doing it for free for this $400 video that it worked out to be. And then he asks if he can have a banner at the end. Doesn't want to pay for it. And I said, okay, yeah, like we can whip something together for you. And just something simple in Canva, whatever. So we finally, after like 5 revisions later, he says, okay, I'm happy with it. I get an email 2 days later. I spoke to my partner. We don't like the video. Can we have these revisions? I'm like, no. Okay, first of all, like, you're going to have to pay in advance for X amount of hours to edit. Like, I didn't know how to handle this. And this is one thing as a small business owner. You get into these weird situations. But right. I stood my ground. I said, no, you're being a little unrealistic. You said it was great. Now you've gone and spoke to someone else. You can at least pay me to edit this. And then he said, oh, like, I paid $700, and this is the screen you gave me. I paid $700 for that. I'm like, dude, that's the free thing that you got. I did such and such amount of edits for you. You didn't want like, you weren't happy, or you were happy and then you were unhappy. Like, at this point, I don't really want to hear from you again. And he started to try and blackmail me. He said, and this is all in emails, like,
those are the best.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because once he said it in an email, I was just like, I CC'd my friend that forwarded it to me. I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm about to lose it. Your friend will read this. He's now blackmailing me, saying he's going to leave bad reviews. He's going to like spread my name around like poorly. He's going to say this. I'm like, he paid for all this. I gave him one thing free. He's upset with how it looks. Like, go find a designer. That was the worst. I will never work with. That was insane, but it was super nice. I felt this was one of my clients, and I was finally at a point where I could say, you know what, kick rocks. I don't need you. I'm not going to deal with this. Spread my name however you want. That was a successful moment. First client I told to kick rocks. That was good.
And people know when they hear from certain people, they also should think about the source.
Yeah.
Like, think about those people that give bad Google reviews, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think about the business. They don't think how hard somebody worked. They're like, I'm going to show them, so I'm going to give bad review.
Yeah.
And then you go look in their profile, and every single review is terrible. This is the worst shawarma house. This was the worst tire place. This is the worst Harvey's.
Yeah.
Everything is terrible.
Yeah.
Am I really going to rely on this person for their Google review? It's almost like you know if you made it when you've had these kind of people giving you reviews. So they're just out there.
Yeah.
But if you get 500 reviews and they're all 5 stars, you got to question that at some point too. Because realistically, we're not all robots. So things will happen.
Yeah.
But there are some people that just cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I recall somebody that once called me up for a quote on a refinance.
Okay.
So, and I gave him a good rate,
Yeah.
you know, and he calls me up. He says, like 2 days later, he says, look, I'm good. I would like to work with you.
Yeah.
Can you do it for half? And I said to him, for the amount of money you're going to pay, I'm willing to notarize 2 pieces of paper for you. That's it. I will not close a transaction for that. You actually don't want to pay anything, really.
Yeah.
No one's going to do this.
Yeah.
If somebody will, it's probably a law firm over a convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
Go to them. I would rather not take your business and not get paid.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you're not going to pay me anything. You're going to expect 100 times more service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better off not working, not getting paid and losing money, meditating on life. I will come up with much better ideas during meditation that would stressing for your file that you're not going to even pay and you're still not going to be happy. And I know this.
Yeah.
Because there's those type of clients. Those are the ones where they say the equation, 10% of your clients are going to be 90% of your headaches.
Yeah.
You get rid of the worst 10%, life is so good.
Yeah.
And then you get those clients that call you up and say, are you available?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you're really good. Can I work with you, please?
Yeah.
You work with them. You give them the bill. Oh, you're very fair. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then they call you up like a month later or something. I really enjoyed working with you. Would you be able to take me on again as a client? Those are amazing.
Yeah.
Those are what you want in life, you know, and that's what I tell everybody. But yet there's this perception that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those good people that don't complain that they get shuffled over.
Yeah.
And it's the complainers that are getting everything. And I would say that is false because what the complainers don't understand is you want top service, you don't want to pay, you're going to the bottom of the list.
Oh, yeah.
And the people that give a good appreciation and good relationships,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are going to be at the forefront. That's how life works. I'm sorry to break to people.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it should be. Because at the end of the day, you know, when I sit with a lawyer, for example, and I tell them, and I can tell these people in any profession right now,
Yeah.
if you're going to hire somebody for your respective in your service industry,
Yeah.
what is their job first and foremost? I believe it's to build relationships.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's
right?
Relationship selling. Yeah. It's
people that are working with you, they're with you, Cole, because they like you and they want to work with you. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, I think it's really important that, you know, you want to make someone feel valued. Like, you're right. Somebody who is just nickel and diming me, like they go to the bottom of the list. But somebody like, you know, you're a very like valued patron, like you pay, like you don't ask questions, you see how hard I work. And like, there's no way if you were nickel and diming me that like, you know, I would fix these problems immediately. But it's like I value you as a customer and as a friend, and the critiques you have are valid and I want to fix them, as opposed to where it's like, if you okay, I want this and this fixed, and I also don't want to pay you this, and I kind of want to pay you less because the last thing happened. No, it's like, okay, you didn't ask for any sort of discount. I'll take 100% of what I made in profit from that, and even like not pay myself and go figure out how to make you feel even better on the next time, and to just problem solve with the profit. But they don't want you to have any profit, and they want you to somehow get better and do better, and it just doesn't make sense. Like, you gotta really support businesses.
So I never pay on the results, so to speak, because I know the results will be there. In my mind, the results will be there if I see effort. I pay for effort.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with somebody in any industry, whether it's a service or good, I want to know that they care about me, they're taking me seriously, and I want to know that we're working together towards something. I look at the big picture.
Yeah.
In my mind, if we're doing 100 things together, if we're going to be amazing by number 100, I'm good as long as there's a progression.
Yeah.
When I see at the point that I am no longer valid, I'm not getting my calls returned anymore, the product is not there anymore, or the product's lowering, I'm done. But when I know someone's taking me seriously and they'll work with me, there's a lot of value because not everybody will work with you. Not everybody will take in feedback. Not everybody will work and gel with you to develop your thing better.
Yeah.
When they're like, listen, I'm the expert. Like, I love lawyers that I work with. Even lawyers call me back.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the lawyer. What year of call are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm 20 years. You? And, you're going to teach me law, buddy? Okay, that's fair. Let's do that. But on the same, when somebody's talking down to you, it says, I know better. I'm going to tell you what you need. And I'm going to tell you it's done. Some people will respond to that. They're like, okay, you're the lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah.
It should not be like that. We should be talking like this and figuring out solutions together.
Yeah.
People want to feel part of the process.
Yeah.
When they feel that way and there's a good relationship, they'll want to keep working with the person. When they feel intimidated, I know I've worked with service people.
Yeah.
Like it came to the point that I know they're not even talking to me anymore. We're done. Like we're not even at that kind of level anymore. That scares me.
Oh, okay.
But I know people get busy.
Yeah.
When I get a response back, an email back the same day, next day, that carries a lot of weight with me. And I tell you at the end of the day, you and your team are fantastic that way because you all work together, you gel.
Yeah.
And that's where, beyond photo and video, I got to ask you because I know about the latest venture. We've just talked about it. You've been in property management for some time.
Yeah.
And now the hot topic is Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And you're doing those as well.
Yeah, the Airbnbs are fun. It's I always liked there was a show, and I think it was like Vacation Property or something like that, but they did the math, and you hope that you buy a condo and a house and that it cash flows or it's neutral. I don't think that happens in Toronto. But the nicest thing about cottages, I love cottages, especially as a businessman now. It's like, you want to like work hard and then go away for the weekend. I don't have one yet, but I got a buddy that has one, and I love that lifestyle, and I love being by the water. And so it's super romantic idea to have this vacation home and to also be able to make money with it and to secure your future. There's I was watching some videos and people say like you just need like 3 properties in Canada, and then that's your retirement. That's all you need, and you can retire. And to build that with Airbnb and to make sure like it's just more problems to solve. You want to make sure that people can get in remotely. You need to make sure cleaners are there. You need to make sure you have tradespeople. You got to make sure that there's a phone number that they can call. And so like to provide that all for somebody that wants to buy this property that they couldn't otherwise afford, to make that happen, to make them happy, to make guests happy, and to hear them as well, like that's a super fun and fulfilling job, and I really like doing that. So if anybody wants more, I would love more clients. If anybody wants help with managing their Airbnb, that's what we do at Crane Property Management, and it's super fun.
I will be telling people that, and I tell them every episode, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, comment on the videos. You've heard things today, you agree, disagree. We love the feedback. We love interacting with the people. People send all sorts of funny comments.
Yeah.
I give them funny comments back. I usually want me responding actually because I love it.
Yeah.
They're like, why is this person on my screen? Get off of here. Why is this 90-year-old man? I'm like, I think I look good for 90.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to love those hecklers.
Oh, yeah.
But we will have your contact information, certainly, and in any respect of things that you do, Cole. I highly encourage people to work with you because you're just freaking amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I got to ask you because, it's funny. Like, I know, for example, let's say you have a client that purchased a condo unit.
Yeah.
And they have a long-term tenant in there, 1 year plus.
Yeah.
What are we doing there? Like, versus an Airbnb, okay, we got to pay the maintenance fee. We got to make sure the property taxes are paid. They got to pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
Got to make sure we're collecting the rent once a month.
Yeah.
If they have any questions or something breaks, but Airbnb is 1,000 times as much work than having a long-term.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher. Like we would charge like maybe 10% for like a condo or a house, and it's a long-term tenant, and we're covering those risks that you say, but also if the tenant stops paying, we handle the forms that need to go out. We will help find you a new one. We'll vet the tenant, so hopefully you don't deal with anything bad like that. Airbnb, oh my god, like the wear and tear, you don't want it to mess up the house, so you need cleaners there all the time, and it's almost like an Airbnb is like an even better property than a home, because a home, like, maybe you're not cleaning it all. There's a professional cleaner in there almost every day, or at least between every visit. Stuff goes bad. Maybe there's a leak. Maybe somebody gets locked out of something. Maybe the power is out, or the switch needs the breaker switch needs to be fixed, or if somebody locks themselves out, or I'm trying to think of like some of the worst case scenarios. We had one with a really bad, the water got backed up and then it started leaking. And then we had to like dispatch people. We found out, I think, 7 p.m. So there's just way more possible bad outcomes that happen with an Airbnb, and it's nothing to be scared of when you're doing it. It's also having a cottage. It's an older property. It's not in a building that's maintained, so it's got to be maintained, and we handle all that, and it's not much more expensive. I think it's well, you can email us for that, and we'll go through that.
But not to dissuade people, obviously. But
No.
it's funny because people who aren't in it, there's two groups.
Yeah.
There's the ones that say, "Oh, it's the easiest money on the planet to do rentals. It's free money. It's got to do nothing." And then they say that about long-term rentals, and they say that about Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Other ones like, "Oh, it's so scary. So much can go wrong. It's not for me. I don't like risk."
Yeah.
And it's funny. You crunch the numbers.
Yeah.
If you're in a jurisdiction where you got an Airbnb, if let's say it's a little detached house, for example, and you can rent it out to somebody, let's say for $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
If you're in an area touristy and you can Airbnb the thing, like you're looking at potentially 10 times the amount of income, potential, 5 times at least.
At least 3, yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times as much.
It's astronomical.
Yeah.
But on the same token, you hear these horror stories in the media where somebody rented as a long-term tenant. They went and put up walls and they created a boarding house.
Yeah.
You have ones where the people don't pay their rent and the tribunal's backed up and you can't kick the person out. You hear all these kind of things in Airbnb.
Grow-ops, there's
all grow-ops. Yeah. And then you have Airbnbs and there's parties and trashing and this and that. But what I always tell people, don't get too fascinated with what the media says because they're looking for the one bad instant and they're trying to make it seem like that's all of them.
Yeah.
I've stayed at like 30 Airbnbs in my life and I love it, I get to, and I do my research. I know which ones are the good looking ones. I check out I vet the host ahead of time. I read their reviews. I look at the area they're in, and I've never had nothing but a good experience basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, but I can only imagine. And when I heard you're into that as far as managing side of things, there's a lot of communications, right? People with strange requests, I'm sure. And making sure it flows. And what happens if the cleaner doesn't show up?
Yeah, somebody's got to be available at all times.
Last minute booking.
Yeah.
And the ones I've heard from people is when you have somebody check out, check in at the same day.
Yeah.
Now, we're running a Sheraton here. We have the cleaning crew going.
Yeah.
When we're running an Airbnb, it's not so simple, right?
Yeah, it's high stakes. You want to make sure everything's looking good. You want good reviews. You can't really afford to give someone a bad stay. And so it's a lot more work and all profit is derived from risk. That's one of my favorite sayings. And it's not just financial risk, but you need to have somebody available there, which means either you have someone on payroll or on call. And if you have 1 or 2 properties like this, if you're the type that likes to keep busy and talk to people, then it's no pain at all. But if you don't like that stuff and you already work hard and you want to spend time with family, the nice thing about having a business and staff is we've reached critical mass where it's no problem. Somebody's going to answer that phone. We have cleaners we can reach out to. We have hungry tradespeople that want work. Like those problems get solved easy. But if it's just you and it's, I'm a plumber, but I also have this place and I don't want to worry about it, or it can ruin your life because now you have 2 jobs and you're not very skilled in this and maybe you don't like, organizing all of these people coming in and out and making sure that when they check out at 11 and that next person's coming in at 4 and somebody's asking to check out late and somebody's asking to come in early, it can get tight and you want to be nice to everybody and you want to make sure everybody's having a good time, but keeping a firm ground and making sure they understand that the cleaner's got to go in there. It's definitely complex and fun and I think it's worth the call it 5x versus a long-term rental.
I will tell you the one horror story I had from a hotel perspective. And it's funny because people say all the Airbnb horror stories.
Yeah.
And I've only had really great experiences. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, you think that hotels are safe and everything else. I'll tell you the one story. If I didn't live this, I wouldn't even believe it.
Really?
So I went to Montreal one time for a weekend.
Yeah.
I checked in very, very late. It was like late afternoon and early evening. Yeah. I'm exhausted. I come into the room. And it's a very luxury hotel, very, very luxury. So, and I've stayed there before and I like the area, easy parking. It's very accessible. And if anybody's ever gone to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, if you're staying in the core downtown in a nice hotel, it ain't easy getting rooms, period.
Yeah.
And in a nice place.
Yeah.
So I check in, I go straight into bed, I go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's now 10, 11 o'clock at night and I wake up and I've slept in a bad period. It's like now I'm in no man's land, but I'm like, okay, at least I got because I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I turn on the lights, and first thing I see, my bed sheet is covered in blood, all over. And I'm like, oh my Lord, somebody's taking my kidney or something. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, I figured I was bleeding all over.
Yeah.
There's no blood on me.
Oh.
I start touching the sheet.
Yeah.
It was dried blood.
Oh.
I call up right away to the front desk and I said, don't even bother coming. Send the manager immediately. And I sent the manager, right?
Yeah.
I said to him, take a look at this bed. He's like, what did you do? I said, I slept in it. That's it. I explained to him the story.
Yeah.
I said, how is this humanly possible for a cleaner to see this covered in blood, think it's washed, and let's just put it out on the and he had no answers. Like, it was just like, it blew his mind. So they looked after me at the end of it.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you, there's never guarantees anywhere in life wherever you're staying.
Yeah.
And that's where, in fact, when you're going to go to an Airbnb, somebody's going to go above and beyond, in fact.
Yeah.
And, you're no longer just a number. Like, the people that I know that host,
Yeah.
this is their baby. Like, they depend on it. And they're going above and beyond. They're like, I'm going to leave little gifts, and I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to put sites and attractions for people to go to.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of things you don't get at hotels. So it's quite cool. But I'll ask you then, from your end, as we're wrapping up today, Cole, most people doing what you do from photo and video struggle to keep up with the demand, struggle as far as staffing wise, meeting customer expectations. You're going above and beyond, and then you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go more industries. Like, every time it feels like you've reached your max, you're like, I see another opportunity. I see something that people aren't doing right, or I can make it better.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, I know that's part of why we get along as type A personalities.
Yeah.
And we feel that need to constantly take on more. But how do you reach that point where you're saying, I want to be on another industry related versus keeping with what you're doing currently?
I enjoy the chaos. I feel like I can thrive in it. Like, it is good, like with my like ADD, to just always be problem solving and to see those other opportunities. Like, I see a problem, and most people don't like problems. Some people they want to buy a house and there's so many problems with it. There's a problem tenant in it. Something needs to be fixed, and there's asbestos in the walls. And I just think, oh, great, all these problems that other people won't put up with, and I will make money from. And if I keep doing that, ideally I hit that critical mass point where I've got enough profit in all things to where I can deploy resources. So really, I enjoy it as long as I can find other people that also want to wear multiple hats and grow and learn and do all these things. It's really hard if you've got someone that, like, I just want to do this one thing. I just want to take photos. I don't want to edit. I don't want to do video. I just want to, like, only do this one thing. You can't do that, and those aren't the type of people that I can employ yet. One day, it'll be nice to have people that only do that. But if you've got like a badass group of people and they're willing to just be part of the cause, and okay, we got property management, we've got the brokerage, we've got the studio space, we've got the property photography and videography and the drone stuff and the 3D, and so they're all close enough. But I think once I have more money and more of foundation, I will start to like get into like weirder and different and like totally like, why can't I own a plumbing business? I know some plumbers that don't want to do sales. I know some salespeople that have nothing to sell. Like, let's do that too. And so I think it's just going to get crazier.
Well, let me ask you, do you operate off of a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year? Like, I can tell you, when I look at myself, I actually write down tangible goals.
Yeah.
And I operate on that 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 year. And that helps motivate me.
Yeah.
Very often it gets done quicker, or more gets added to it. How far ahead do you look when you create the planning for you?
I generally will set like a 1 year goal, and usually it's something like I want to triple everything, just because it seemed manageable a couple of times. Like it's happened. I don't know if I will triple the business growth year over year again. But that's one thing I need your help with, is probably setting these goals. I'm sure they're good, and they can keep you motivated when when you're not feeling motivated. You have a clear vision. But for now, I'm just like I'm kind of staying afloat. And there's a saying, like, if there's a bunch of rivers and you're just trying to stay forward, you don't know where you're gonna go. And so I think I need a little more structure like that. But I take solace in the idea that I'm just always working, always trying to do something. So at least I'm going forward. But it would be nice to have some direction, and to be able to evaluate the path I'm on, and to see what mistakes were made, because those are things you can't do when you're chasing 20 different things. You make mistakes and you're hoping that it's a net positive, but you can get lost in the sauce pretty easily.
I can tell you when you're reading my future book, there'll be a chapter on manifestation.
Yeah.
You may want to flip directly to that one.
Yeah.
Manifestation is a very, very big thing
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people discount.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I always give the example, like for example, you like sports, I like sports. It's like I read about Andreescu when she won the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
She envisioned herself winning it. She watched herself in her mind how she was playing against Williams, and she saw herself beating her.
Yeah.
Saw exactly where the shots were going to go, and she manifested that.
Mm-hmm.
And envisioning, and you can do that in any aspect of life, but when you can actually see yourself, like for example, somebody wants a yacht.
Yeah.
You put a picture of a yacht on your wall.
Yeah.
Picture yourself on the yacht. Photoshop yourself onto the yacht. If all you picture yourself is on the yacht and manifest it, at some point you're going to be on the yacht. You may not fully own it, but you'll get there, And I think that's a really, really big thing. So there's one thing, a little secret I'm going to tell you ahead of time is we're going to work, and that's a lot of yoga and meditation really helps with that.
Okay.
Manifestation is huge. Okay. And as we're wrapping up today, Cole, congratulations are in order. So in between all this stuff, as far as the 100 industries you're in, you also got engaged recently. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really exciting. The love of my life came back from Brazil a couple years ago, and I'm excited to start that chapter. She's my rock. You see her all the time. She's helping out. Anything she can for the team. Like it's amazing.
When we first met and we were talking, and I knew how ambitious you were professionally wise, and I was saying, I don't know this person yet, but are you sure about this? Are you sure that you want to jump into all the waters? And then once I met her and worked with her, I said, I get it. Okay, no, I get it. Great choice, A+. Because especially when you can work together and you can understand one another and you can feed off one another, encourage each other and grow, that's really, really important in life, and especially I would say professionally versus personally, a lot of people have to make that choice of one or the other. And the problem is when you get held back professionally, there can be a lot of resentment, and that's a tough thing in life. So at the end of the day, where you can have your cake and eat it too, which I'm not really sure what that means, but I like the idea. I love cake. I want to have the cake, but I want to eat the cake. So I guess that's what it is. So if I eat it, the cake is gone. So I don't really know how that works.
The real saying is I want to eat my cake and have it too, because you can't eat it and have it, but you want to. You want to eat it and then still have it with you.
But I want the kind of cake then I can put in the freezer, maybe like those delicious, mocha,
cane chocolate cakes,
the tea cakes, that they're just there. So I can eat my cake, but I still got plenty of cake. So the secret is have lots of cake, eat it, enjoy it, but have more in the reserve. So I'm glad you're finding that balance, my friend. And honestly, thank you so much. The Chosen Life thanks you, because without us coming together and without us building our friendship and our personal relationship and professional relationship, I don't know that Chosen Life is where it is today. So you've been a big part of that. So thank you from behind the scenes and now coming out in the forefront. And I really encourage people that you're in real estate, in life, there's a lot of things that Cole's involved in real estate. You need photo, you need video. This is your guy. You look after everybody. Everybody who works with you loves you. And, you're doing a lot of good in this world. You're working really hard and the results are there. So thumbs up to Cole.
Thank you.
And for your journey. Going into the future immediately wise, besides obviously the wedding and building more of the career, any immediate plans or things you can share with us?
I'll talk to you after. I do want to buy I want to buy another business right now. I just want to. I'm going to take this winter, and I think everybody should, especially if you're in a business. I don't know if yours slows down, but most of it's real estate, so I'm assuming I'm going to take winter, kind of gather my thoughts, come up with a game plan, reevaluate, and then try and hit next year like I deserve to. So nothing crazy now. We're just going into cold season. I'm assuming there's going to be a good drop and going to train and take notice of everything going on, write everything down, try and come up with some goals and manifestations, and we'll just see where the year takes us.
Well, I told you off air that when you're ready, I love organization and productivity and to-do lists and all that jazz. So when you're ready to sit down with me, I'm here. I'm putting on the air. I'm putting that out there. So we're going to sit down and show you how I do it. And, I really love to give the tools to people to see them succeed. And man, you're going to hit the moon, man, where you're headed. And hard work will always win out, period. It's obviously good to have talent and have experience. But you got that drive and that hustle that will always win out. So, man, kudos to you.
Thank you.
And looking forward to as we go into season 2 of The Chosen Life and where we're headed. And we just had Talia Ritchie on recently in studio. She was awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll see who's going to come out of the woodwork and talk more about lifestyle.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's going to get there for us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see all the guests you have coming up. I really enjoy like all the different people you bring on. So thanks for having me here, and thanks for having me behind the scenes. It's exciting.
And next time we're going to see you on camera, it's going to be you interviewing me. So the tables are going to get turned.
Yes. I'll run the show next time.
So I appreciate that. So as we sign off, you know what we do at the end? We pull out the arms and we say,
keep on living the chosen life.
Cheers.
Cheers.